Today we're speedrunning the Simpsons Hit Run, probably the best Simpsons game ever made. Now we're skipping past it for the video, but the game starts out with a cutscene where we learn that there's some weird bee things that are spying on the town, and more importantly, there's a new drink called Buzz Cola that came out, so we gotta go to the Quickie Mart and get that along with some ice cream for our wife Marge. And right away, we're gonna be taking this left path over here, which I can do by slowing down, making sure we get that left angle, making it to the Quickie Mart as fast as possible, and also getting that vending machine for some more coins. Coins are going to be incredibly important in this run because there's a lot of stuff we need to buy, so your coin route is important, and I'll just go over the stuff as we get there. But after that, we can mission warp to our first mission, which is going to be SMRT. We talked to Marge, and she tells us that Lisa left for school without her science project, so we got to race to school before Principal Skinner gets there. And again, we'll be taking the same path where we just slow down right here, have some wonky physics. This game has a lot of those, but this is a nice shortcut that we can take first of all, hit that stop sign, and also get this other vending machine, but reset our car as soon as we hit it. Then I'm also going to flick my camera back and forth because basically what happens is you can get cars to despawn because you're not currently looking at them. So that's a strategy we'll use every once in a while just to make the road a little bit easier for ourselves. But some more coins, we can take those boxes which are on the ground, make our way over to the school, so we made it before Principal Skinner. But before we actually go in the school, we'll be coming around back and hitting this box and be over here. So we can exit the car, jump up and kick that bee, go back in the car so it's easier to get all those coins, and get out one more time. There's going to be a bee up here, and there's also going to be two boxes. And this is just going to be tons of coins. Like I said, coins are very important, so every once in a while we'll go out of our way for coins like right here, but usually we'll just be getting them along the path. But we can talk to Lisa, and we finish that first mission before we then want to go back to Marge. And here she's going to tell us that Flanders is upset, so we got to go talk to him. We'll drive right over there, and then Flanders is going to tell us that all his stuff was stolen, and it was actually us who did it. So we come up with an excuse and go to retrieve his stuff. First of all, there's going to be a tuxedo just right on the side of the road. I feel like he could have seen that. But we'll be going actually over into this direction. There's going to be a lot of cars, and all the cars and stuff like that, it's completely random when they show up. So sometimes they can just completely ruin you. But we'll be making our way over to Barney, park right there, and we have to take back the cooler we gave him for his birthday, but unlucky for him, along with two more boxes right there for some more coins, and we'll start heading back. And then we can take this chair, and whenever you're coming back in this direction, we want to take this little shortcut through the cemetery. That's going to give us some coins as well as being a bit faster. And for our last two things, before we get those, we'll actually come behind this blue house because there's two more boxes right there, and then we can reset the car. There's going to be this picture of Flanders' family, and we can do this same old shortcut. We're going to be doing it a lot for this run. Before heading back over towards the Quickie Mart, we're on top of this duff truck. There's going to be the last thing. It's just going to be this inhaler. We can grab that really quick and make our way back over to Flanders. Just a couple more cars on the way that we got to dodge out of the way of. I also want to make sure that my hit and run meter, which you see on the bottom right next to my map, doesn't get all the way up. Because basically, if you destroy enough stuff or hit enough people, then the cops are going to come after you. And if the cops get you, you lose 50 coins, which would be very bad for the speedrun, obviously. But we'll talk to Flanders, finish that mission, and we decide to go back over to our house to finally rest. But when we come in here, Marge tells us that we're late for work, and it's our evaluation day with Smithers. So Homer decides that he needs to ask Lenny where Smithers is, so we can destroy Smithers' car so we don't actually have to do the evaluation. And I'm just going to be coming this same old path straight through here, because Lenny is going to be right by where Barney was. Also, there's that bus. Okay, come on, man. Yeah, like I said, traffic sometimes can be very annoying, and also we very much murdered that lady. I mean, she is running away. She's probably fine. But Lenny tells us where Smithers is. We decide we need a better car to actually be able to take out his, and there's some more traffic. There's a lot of this. But we'll talk to Barney, ask him for a better truck, and he's going to sell us the Plow King for 150 coins. But we're not actually going to use the Plow King. We just have to officially unlock it, and then we can head over to this car and take that instead. And that's because we have a very specific strategy that we're going to use to deal with Smithers, but we're heading back over into the direction of the Quickie Mart. So we're going to start this by doing our same old shortcut, and then Smithers is going to spawn in coming out of the Quickie Mart, and we want to hit him head on and then hope that our car gets in a good direction. We got a kind of annoying one there, but what we want to do with this car to take it out really fast is move it over to the right, aiming towards that red chimney, and then we can get Smithers in this very convenient place. All we have to do from here is just keep backing into him over and over again. By the the way, every time I do this, I'm going to hold on to emergency brake and then also accelerate, and that gives us a little bit of extra speed. That way we can destroy the car a bit faster, and that's mission complete. Then we'll be heading over to the power plant. We can just go there. But at this point, Homer is really scared about all the cameras that are around, so he decides to destroy a bunch of cameras in the power plant, and we'll just be going through destroying these things. And while this is happening, by the way, if you're wondering how I learned this run, there are a couple places. First of all, there was a tutorial by Liquid Wi-Fi, a really good speedrunner of this game. Then I also learned some other stuff from sharwiki.com. That's a great place to learn this game, and some from eazyspeezy speedruns video. So yeah, there's just a ton of great speedrunning content on this game, and a lot of that stuff will be in the description, but we take out all that stuff. We're also going to take out the vending machine, so check that out after this video too if you're interested in more Simpsons Hit and Run content. But we're going to switch back to our regular car. That way we're not still on the Plow King, because otherwise we would keep having to use it, and then we have a cutscene. We find out that other people have learned about the surveillance cameras, and then there are also strange black vans that have started appearing around town, and they're also spying on people. So our next goal is going to be following one of those strange black vans, which is right outside our door. And this is our first follow mission, where pretty much there's not too much to do to speed it up. All we really have to worry about is staying pretty close to the black van. That way it can keep at top speed. If you get too far away, it actually will slow down for you, especially on these earlier levels. And while we're following this thing, or I guess we're ahead of it at this point, but we're going to take these vending machines, take some more boxes, just get some coins because we do have the time anyway. And one interesting thing about this speedrun is sometimes the things we're following can get stopped by traffic, like I think what happened there, but we can also do the camera trick to get rid of some of the traffic in front of it, so that can help as well. But we'll be coming through this shortcut. There's going to be a couple coin places here. The physics are a little weird as well. And then as we're coming up to this place, what we want to do is keep moving our camera back and forth, because for some reason that gets the black van to take that jump a bit better. Sometimes it will crash into the barn if you don't do the camera trick, so just something to keep in mind. And we'll be doing a similar thing over here, but instead of flicking our camera back and forth, we want to wait here, and then there's another school bus. We don't have to talk about it, but basically we want to slow down enough that way the black van can slow down and won't get stuck in the power plant. And now we're just following it through the power plant, hitting a couple of people that are in our way. I mean, not my business. I mean, the black van is also hitting them too, to be fair, so you can't really blame us. And finally, once we make it over to this room, we want to take this jump and hopefully hit one of those bees. We actually got it that time, but as soon as we make it over there, we can just kind of chill here, because we are close enough to Mr. Burns' mansion. And once Homer learns that it went to Mr. Burns' mansion, he thinks that Mr. Burns is behind it. So we're going to mission teleport over to Marge, and also take this vending machine that's going to be right here, take all those coins like usual, and tell Marge about this thing with Mr. Burns. But she says that we can't worry about that right now, because there's a truck that's delivering violent video games, which is the Bone Storm game, and we have to steal the video games from it so the kids won't get those violent video games. You know, very important stuff. And I will just be going through. Now, the important thing for these types of missions is to just hit it with enough force. You'll see like that one right there. We just had a little bit too little force to actually get the thing to come out of it. So sometimes that can be a bit annoying, but we're just going to keep going back and forth. The things you do get out of the truck can also spawn on the left or the right, so that can be annoying as well. We kind of get the car to turn around there. This is honestly not my best mission of all time, but with one more hit of those, we'll get that box. We can go forward, and we can stop by right here, get that vending machine, and after that, all we have to do is head back to the Simpsons house. Of course, we'll be taking this. Oh, and by the way, one other thing I haven't mentioned is every time after you finish a mission, Homer usually celebrates and you can't move, but if you jump or attack right before that celebration, then you can cancel it so we can move faster. And then we mission warped while we were facing the house, which for some reason allows you to skip that animation where you slowly go over towards Homer and just get to that a bit faster. And then we're also going to do a shortcut for this, because this is another race to try to get to Mr. Burns faster. And for this, we can just back up into the power plant, which is usually closed off, but then if we reset our car, we'll be through the wall and can just go completely in there. Then we'll come up to this spot, try to hit the other bee. I've never actually gotten both of them in a run, but maybe it could happen. And finally, we make it over to Mr. Burns, where we learn that he's not actually behind everything. So unlucky. But at this point, it's going to switch us over to Bart. And when Bart talks to Milhouse, we learn that Bart skipped school today, so Principal Skinner is after us, and we also want to get the Bone Storm game that Marge tried to get rid of. Now, first of all, I'm going to get a taxi. You either want one of the supercars or the taxi. Preferably we get the supercar, but it doesn't always happen. And we can come up to this jump where there's going to be a box there, and that's going to be some extra coins, of course. But now a nice thing is Principal Skinner is nowhere close to us, so we are way ahead of this dude. And also, if we go through these rough patches, then there's no way Principal Skinner is going to be able to chase after us for too long. So we can take that shortcut over there. There's going to be another one here, and Principal Skinner is gone. Now all we have to do is go over to the try and save where we see Jimbo up front. And unfortunately, Jimbo lets us know that he got the last one of the violent video games, so we can't take it. And that's pretty unlucky, but we're gonna go ahead, take that vending machine, and then do a quick U-turn where here there's gonna be Kearney, and he tells us that illegal fireworks are way cooler than violent video games, so we decide we gotta get our hands on one of those. In our first place, we gotta go over towards Ismos. There's gonna be a couple things in my way, you know, it happens. But there's also a couple shortcuts that we want to take back here, like this one right here. They're just little tiny shortcuts that save a little bit of time, but I mean, it definitely does add up, like going through this car wash. Of course, that's going to be nice. And we can head straight over to Moe's where there's going to be Otto out front. He's going to give us our first set of fireworks, and we can head in Moe's and also buy some fireworks from Moe. So that's going to be our second. After that, we want to leave back out and dodge a bunch of cars. Thankfully, we got some pretty good RNG right here, but there's going to be our next shortcut that we can take through this Buzz Cola sign, and there's also going to be that vending machine and a van that comes right over there. Sometimes these things just spawn in the most annoying places, but we'll come straight up over here over towards Snake, and he's going to give us our next set of fireworks, so we'll take those. And from there, we want to head over to Ralph because we think that his dad probably has the stash of fireworks that he's already confiscated, and that means we're just going to head through this entire highway. We can head over towards the right, and there's also always going to be a vending machine right here, which we can take as well. Going to be some extra coins, and then from there, we see Ralph right by the police station, but there's also going to be Chief Wiggum, his dad, right by this. So we're going to get back in the car, and as soon as we get these fireworks, Chief Wiggum comes after us, but all you have to do is just go around in this circle, and he gets very confused, and we completely destroy the mission. It's that easy. And after that, we're heading to Comic Book Guy, asking him about the video game, but he says he doesn't have time for us since he needs to go to the internet and complain about a film. And that means we're going to be helping him beat somebody else who's also trying to complain about the film. You know, he has to be first. And this guy can be annoying, but we actually touch his car right there, and then he crashes into something, so we probably should be fine. I mean, he is coming up towards us, and okay, that was definitely an accident, but I mean, I'll take it. Sometimes you just crash into cars, and they just do all types of things. The car AI in this game in general is very strange. But all we have to do is head over here, over towards the General Hospital, and since we are way ahead of the other people, we might as well also take these boxes. That's going to be some extra coins, and we get through there. Where Comic Book Guy tells us that Professor Frink bought the rest of the copies of the game, so we got to go get him. But first, of course, we're going to get this taxi because we need another one. And Professor Frink tells us that he can't give us the video games because he's using their violence to make something called a Truckosaurus. But if we find him a World War II communication device and satellite, we can create this monster, and that would be really cool and much more violent. So first of all, we're going to be heading after this black truck because I mean, that probably knows where it has to go. So we're just going to be following this thing. I kind of got unlucky there because usually you want the truck to take the same path we were, and that way you can get an extra one of these bee things, but not the biggest deal. We just lose out on a little bit of coins. We can still head through this thing and pretty much just take the normal path. But as soon as we make it back to the try and save, we're also going to take this box while we're waiting for the car to get there. And we're heading over to a place called Herman's only to find out that it's been robbed. And Chief Wiggum is not a very good police officer, so he doesn't really know what happened, but we see some tire marks and see that it's probably Snake that took everything, so we got to go after him. We'll be heading over to him, and we convince him that if we can beat him in a race, he'll actually give us the radio. And this race is very interesting because we are not fighting it fair at all. All we're going to do is actually back up and move this taxi out of the way. These people are always in my way, but then we can actually reset from right here, and that for some reason spawns us all the way up here, which is just amazing. And yeah, we are way ahead of Snake at this point, so all we have to do is just drive through the highway, and there's pretty much no way he's going to be able to beat us. You gotta love all the little tricks you can do just by respawning yourself. Like, it saves so much time overall. But since we are so much ahead, I also want to get a couple more of these vending machines, because even though we have over 700 coins, that is not nearly enough for how much we will need for this run. It's just really important to always make sure that you're getting more and more coins. Still, we will complete that, and a deal's a deal, so we get the radio. That means we can use mission select to go back over here because we think that Cletus has a satellite dish, but he tells us that we need to help him get a bunch of roadkill first. And yeah, that means we're going from place to place collecting all these skunks, and yeah, this game, it's such an interesting one. But this is a pretty simple mission. There's not too much you can do to speed it up besides for one little trick. Also, that car, so many cars always just constantly in my way. Little thing I have been doing throughout the whole run though is you can actually do one of these drifts drifts just by tapping the emergency brake button and turning. So I like doing that. It usually keeps up a little bit more of your speed, at least I feel like it kind of does. And you'll see that I actually skipped a couple of the skunks, and first we're coming over here. And the reason for that is once we get all the skunks, it doesn't actually end the mission. We still have to go back over towards Krusty Burger to actually deliver them. So by doing that whole path first and then coming over here and getting these other skunks, it's actually going to be faster. So there's going to be this one on the train tracks and this final one right over there. That's going to be all 14. And now we have to deliver them to the Krusty Burger. But as soon as we make it over here, Apu is mad at us because he wants to be the only one that sells meat. So we got to get away from him. Thankfully, there's a very easy way of doing this. All we have to do is come up on this path, make sure we're not on the road, and he's going to get very confused. So we can just keep going, make our way over to the Krusty Burger, and that's going to be the mission done. Sometimes that doesn't work out the best, but thankfully it did this time. And after that, we can go back to the mission select, where this time Frank tells us that he also needs a blender, so we got to find one of those. And for this, we're going to head back over to the hospital general direction. And before it, there's going to be Dr. Nick over here, who we think must have a blender, and he tells us that he does, but in order to get it, we need to capture a bunch of his monkeys that he lost. But our current car isn't going to be able to fit all of them, so we got to head to Homer and get a better car from him. We're going to be able to buy Mr. Plow for 200 coins, and this is going to be a very good car for us for the rest of the run in multiple different places. But in this one, it is just solely used just to get a bunch of monkeys. So I will come over here. We can grab that monkey, get all of these by the hospital first. And by the way, I just love the music that plays during these sections. I think it's such a fun music choice. I don't know. Like, it just makes you so happy. It's just chill music. I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, we're going to go from monkey to monkey. Of course, there is 30. And at first, this timer was pretty tight when I was just learning the run, but it's not that bad at all. It's so not bad that we're also going to take the time to also get a couple bees. These are going to be in certain places, so it does make sense to get out of your car, just smash them, get back in the car, and collect all those coins. Then we can come over here. There's a couple of monkeys we can grab from there. There's going to be one right in front of City Hall, along with a box and another bee, but that was a really weird angle. Okay, I've never had that happen to me. And there's also a person just like dead. That was so weird. Okay, we'll respawn, but we also want those coins. We'll just grab a couple of those. Then we can grab this one by the tree. It's time to do the jump. We got to make sure we have enough speed to actually make it up there. Grab that monkey up there. And then there's a couple more on this turn over here. Also a ton of cars. Like, we are not getting the best car RNG right now, not gonna lie, but it's not too bad. There'll be one right by this statue, some over here by the town hall, along with another box and another one of these bees. So you already know I'm gonna get out and try to destroy it. Nice and easy. And there's a couple more monkeys that we have to get by the town hall. You can also see them on the mini map. I guess I haven't mentioned that yet, but that is important if you are wondering where they're all going to be. I do want this bee as well. It's kind of in an awkward position. Please die. Yes, sometimes this game is really weird with the hit detection. Okay, we're just gonna ignore the bee because it is being very weird, and we can also reset the car to maybe go a bit faster. But there's just 4 more monkeys. There's gonna be one right over here. We might have just killed that taxi driver. We don't have to talk about it. And for the last 3, we can just come over towards this roof, get on top of our car using that trick. Basically, if Bart can't get out of the car, he's gonna spawn on top of it. So we can use that extra height to actually be able to get up this roof, get a bee, and also get the final few monkeys. Then we can talk to Dr. Nick. He's gonna give us the blender, so we complete that mission. And we're heading back to Professor Frink, where this time he tells us that the last thing we need to do is destroy a bunch of cell phone cars, and then we can finally make Truckosaurus. So we're gonna go straight into this one first. And yeah, we're just killing cell phone users. Like, it's not okay to use your cell phone. We can't have a Truckosaurus with people who are using cell phones for some reason. Yeah, it's a very interesting idea. Anyways, we're just gonna keep crashing into this guy. Of course, using our big truck that we have, because this thing is so amazing for destroying cars. And then for this mission, there's a very specific way you can do it if you're better at the game than I am. But I'm not the best at the game. So I kind of just go off vibes and hope everything works out. Like right here, we're gonna come up to this car. And by the way, every time before I hit these cars, for a slight moment, I'm going to hit the emergency brake because for some reason that does a bit of extra damage to them. So like right here, we'll crash into it, make sure we hit the emergency brake before. And also what does more damage to them is if you hit them into a wall. So that's also a nice thing to do. But we can probably finish off this cell phone car right there. Good spot to do it. And the other one spawns there. So we'll try to get it into the wall. And that was actually amazing. but we didn't get enough speed into that one. Still can finish it out and then get a hit and run. That's not the best place to get one. So we'll try to dodge out of the way of the police cars. Now, the interesting thing about a hit and run is I don't really know how it works, like what causes you to get captured, because sometimes you think you should get captured, but you just don't. Like, sometimes that wouldn't have captured me, but that time we did get busted. Very interesting thing. Not the worst thing in the world, though. As long as we don't get busted a second time, I can come back from the other direction, make sure I hit this guy head on. We can let it get a little bit of speed, and we're going to try to ram it into the side of this. Trying to get it to hit stuff is very important. It's almost dead if it crashes into us. Unfortunately, that didn't do just enough damage, but we can finish out the task like that. All things considered, not too bad of a sellout. This mission is just so difficult. At top level, it's very cool to watch, though. Definitely recommend that. Finally, though, all we have to do is make it back to Professor Frink. And what we're going to do here is a cutscene skip. So in this game, there's a very small amount of space you can do where you can pause before a cutscene starts. So if we wait after the mission complete and press it right there, we can go into mission select and go into Lisa without having to watch the cutscene. I'm pretty good at that one, but for most of them, I actually pause buffer just to make it a bit easier. But now Lisa is going after Bart, because basically in that cutscene we skipped, we checked out Trekosaurus, but then Bart got taken by aliens. So yeah, we're trying to find him. And Lisa asked first of all for Comic Book Guy's help to see if he's seen Bart, but Comic Book Guy says that he needs to get the latest version of the Itchy and Scratchy comic first, so we're gonna help him with that. We can make that shortcut, which a lot of the times that log thing is a very annoying thing, like it's right in your way, but we can just respawn the car. Then we're also going to do the shortcut through there, right through Mr. Bird's, whatever that sign was. It was kind of terrifying, but we'll be making our way over to the docks. We can easily beat that, beat the other nerd who's trying to get the Itchy and Scratchy comic. But before Comic Book Guy gives us his help, we also need to get him back to his shop. So we'll head over here, and to save a little bit more time, we can reset our car from that spot, and then we just have to head back up the same way we came down. So there's going to be this log thing. We got to make sure we don't get crushed by that. That's going to put us in this place, and this time we actually have to do that turn instead of doing a skip that we did earlier. But there are going to be these stairs again. Of course, we can go straight up those. The stairs are kind of interesting physics, but usually they work out pretty well. And finally make it to the end, where Comic Book Guy tells us that Bart might be at the Noiseland arcade. And we're also going to jump right there, so we skip the winning animation. Of course, we're going to take that vending machine, and we're going to ask Milhouse if he's seen Bart. And this is an interesting mission where basically Milhouse tells us a bunch of different locations that he's also going to go to because he's trying to go on a date with Lisa. He doesn't actually know where Bart is, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, we're just going to go from place to place. The next one is going to be over by the docks, so pretty much exact same path we took last time. But of course, Milhouse keeps trying to get us to go on a date with him. He is a very annoying man. So we're going to the next place, which is going to be by the Springfield sign. And we can also do another shortcut here where we're going to take this left path, and you can see there's this huge ship. What we can do is go inside there and then reset our car, which puts us on the opposite side, and that saves a good amount of time. Now from there, of course, we see Krusty Land Studios. We're going to go past that. We're going to come up here. There's going to be a nice jump we can do straight through this Buzz Cola thing, and we see the Springfield sign. But as soon as we talk to Milhouse one more time, he admits that he doesn't know where Bart is, which is very annoying that he did this to us. So we get very angry and we kick him off that cliff. He kind of deserves it. But we decide we're going to go check the Quickie Mart, and we ask Apu about it, and he tells us first we need to help him. He wants to attack Cletus's truck to get rid of all his skunks. So what we're going to do is a very precise trick where I didn't get it that first time, but that's fine because you can restart it really easily. What I'm trying to do is get this truck into an area where it can't get out of, and then we can just keep getting the stuff over and over again. So you can see we got it in the perfect spot, and all we have to do from here is just keep backing up and hitting the truck over and over again, and we keep getting the skunks. This is by far the fastest way to do this mission. It's a very funny way of doing the mission too. Like, he literally cannot move. We're just going back and forth over and over again, and it's definitely worth it to restart the mission if you fail it the first time. After that, we're gonna head over to the observatory because Apu tells us that we should ask Professor Frink if he knows where Bart is. So we're gonna take this jump straight through there. We also have 940 coins right now. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to spend those on a lot of things in just a second, but we'll make our way over here, complete that task, and we can go in the observatory where Frink tells us that Bart helped him make a monster and then disappeared into a white light. So Lisa decides that she needs to ask a wise person about this, and she asks Grandpa Simpson. Also, we'll buy the Lisa cool outfit because we need it for a later mission. But when we ask Grandpa Simpson, he says that Bart's lucky hat fell out of a car, so we need to destroy that car, but we need a bus to do so. So we're gonna take a random car on the road to get to Otto a little bit faster, ask him for the bus, and he tells us he'll sell it to us for just 300 coins. And yeah, you can see we're so many of my coins are going. But what we have to do here before we actually fight this car is we're going to try to get in between these rocks. That way we can get that bee and we can also get that Buzz Cola box. We didn't get the best angle right there, but we still got past it and we can restart the mission. From here, there are going to be a couple of black sedans that we have to destroy to hopefully find Bart. Now, the first one, I have to turn around right here and we're going to try to get this guy into a certain spot. That's a pretty good spot. Not exactly what I was going for, but we can slam it right into there, do a ton of damage onto this thing over and over again, and that was a very easy one of those. After that, we have to ride over to the Aztec Theaters. That means we actually have to take this road, which is a little bit longer, going past all these cars. Please get out of my way, guys. You're being very annoying. But yeah, pretty similar path that we usually take where we do our shortcuts. And then we see the theater over here, and there's going to be one of these cars, and we want to slam directly into it. That way we can hopefully turn it around and get it stuck. Now, it didn't get stuck right there, which isn't perfect, but we did hit it a second time, and it only needs one more hit. So I will come over here, hit it from the side, and that's going to be the second one done. Next up, we're going to Planet Hype. And what we want to do is take this jump, but actually veer off over towards the right. That way we get onto this side of the docks. And as soon as we hit the bottom of those, we want to reset our cars so we're right here. And we want to get a bunch of speed. There's going to be the car. We can hit it down. It's going to get put into that area. And then this is the funniest thing ever. Because if we come over here, we can see that the car is just going to go back and forth, hitting itself between the docks and destroying itself. So very easy way to do it, but that doesn't actually help us. So we decide we need to go over to the casino and ask Chief Wiggum for help. And he tells us that he's currently doing an investigation and we need to help him get 3 strikes on Snake. This is also why we need the cool costume. You can't do this mission unless you have it. Now, to get these 3 strikes, we have to get all the stuff that Snake is going to drop out of his car, like those jeans right there. And yeah, this is pretty much just a follow mission. Unfortunately, you can't hit the back of Snake's car to make him drop things, but we just have to follow him and eventually he will drop things. The last one is going to be over here by this bridge. We can get that, then turn around, and we got to go back to the casino. And once we make it back here, Wiggum tells us that there are mysterious government people over at the docks. So we're going to switch back to the Malibu Stacy car and we can ask the sea captain about the weird stuff happening, and he'll tell us he'll help us, of course, if we do a favor for him. Everybody wants a favor in this game, but his favor is going to be collecting a bunch of fish. So we can get these 3 first. We'll go around this dock and then we'll reset our car. That way we just go a bit faster, back over by the ship, and there's going to be a couple more fish over here. And yeah, this whole path is pretty much just going through and grabbing fish. I mean, not too much to say about these types of missions. We can come up here. There's going to be the Duff beer places, and we can grab a couple fish by there. I don't know why all these fish are on land and in these very random places, but we're just going to keep heading forward, going over towards the observatory. This is a pretty simple path you have to take. It's just like one straight road. Until we make it to this part, we got to do this jump over the bridge. That's going to be all 22 and mission complete, where we can then come down here, get the weirdest thing, and that was very strange. But we want to switch back over to the bus, so we'll take this cell phone tower and get that right there. Now we go back to the sea captain, and he tells us that Bart was in a long black limo, which is right in front of us, and we need to destroy it. And this is a very interesting way of destroying this thing. Usually it shouldn't be too bad, but sometimes you can just get unlucky with it. So what I want to do is be on the left side of this limo, and we want to guide it over down towards this dock stairs, but unfortunately sometimes that can happen. Yeah, we're gonna have to restart that. We got a bad angle on the limo, so we got to get a better one. Okay, this time we will go over there. And what are you doing? What is happening with this game? But that might actually work. Yeah, we can see it just going back and forth, and it's getting more damage on it. That was the strangest one of those I've ever gotten, but we'll take it. And while we're waiting for the limo to destroy itself, we might as well get some more coins. So we can come up towards here. There's going to be a bee, so we can destroy that thing, get a couple of the coins from there, and there's not much else we can do. We're kind of just waiting. But actually, where is this limo? I think it's on the beach right now. I am not sure. This is the weirdest one of these limos I've ever gotten, but it's still destroying itself, so I'm not going to complain. And we think we killed our brother because we destroyed the limo, but the sea captain tells us that Bart is actually on top of the ship, so we can just go over towards there. I'm going to grab this box just for some extra coins, and we can get on our feet. We're going to jump up onto this thing, jump onto those things, and we see Bart right there. But unfortunately, Bart's brain is broken. He can't form sentences, and we decide to take him back home. And here's where we switch to Marge. We try to talk to Bart. She wants to figure out how to fix him, and she thinks that maybe the police will know something about it, so we decide to follow Chief Wiggum. Wiggum. He's going to be going just not worrying about traffic laws at all. But the important thing is to not get too ahead of Chief Wiggum because he's not the fastest guy. He's not taking any shortcuts. Like right there, it can get a little close. And we will take this vending machine again and just kind of chill here because he is going to stop over by the donut store and he'll tell us that he will help us if we can get him some donuts. So what we want to do is this trick where we want to get in front of the donut truck and it's just going to keep hitting into us over and over again and we'll get more donuts. But sometimes things like that can happen where cars can come into you and that is not the best situation. Yeah, a little bit sloppy, so we're going to have to do this mission a bit slower than we normally would want to. And at this point, it's just going to be one of these missions where we're trying to follow the truck and hitting the donuts out of it. It happens with this speed run. This game in general is just, it's hard. It's a hard game. That's especially why top level runs are so cool because it's so hard to just get consistent at this stuff. But we were almost there. I really don't want to get another hit and run, so I'm trying not to hit anybody, but we will take that. And we just got to go drive back over towards Chief Wiggum, which once we give him the donuts, he tells us that there's a crop circle over at Cletus's shack. We're of course going to teleport over to there with the mission select, but Cletus isn't going to recognize us and decides to run away, so we have to follow him and pick up his stuff. And this is a pretty simple follow mission where he's just going to drop boxes of things and we're going to have to collect them. We can come over here. There's going to be this jump again. I should have done the camera trick again where you flip it back and forth, but thankfully we got lucky there, so it didn't really matter. And truck, please get out of my way, dude. And then there's also another truck which is just completely in my way. Thankfully we have some time, so we're not too worried about it, but if I play a little bit worse, this might go terribly because if the car does get too far away from you, then you just lose the mission. We can't have that. I also now have to make sure my hit and run meter doesn't get too far because we are getting it up there with just running over people. Look, it's not my fault that running over people is fun in video games. Now there's going to be this thing that's going to be number 4, and we want to take a tiny shortcut that Cletus isn't going to take. All we have to do is go up these stairs and there's going to be another one of these vending machines right there. Got to get those extra coins. Then we'll make sure that Cletus isn't going to drop anything. Sometimes he can drop things earlier, sometimes he drops them later, so you just have to be prepared at all times. There's going to be this jump over this bridge and we're heading back over towards the school where he's going to get stuck on that spot. Sometimes he will get stuck, sometimes he doesn't. It's just part of the RNG of this game. And now we just have the final couple things we got to get. There's one right there and Cletus will finally drop the final thing over by the retirement home. After that, I want to jump multiple times. That way we can get through the winning animation, and we also want to destroy this vending machine, and then we're going to stop by the Quickie Mart because we have to get a new outfit. So I will also destroy that one. Might as well get some more coins before we stop in front of this place. Then you'll see you can buy new outfits straight in the back of here, and we're going to want to buy the inmate outfit. After that, we're then actually going to quit to the main menu, making sure not to save the game because it takes extra time, and if you resume game right away, it just takes you back here. Then we can go over to Cletus and start his mission where he says he'll help us, but we have to help him with the harvest, which is just getting a bunch of ketchup packets, and we don't want to get our clothes dirty, so that's why we had to switch over to the prisoner clothes. And yeah, this is going to be another one of these pretty simple missions where all we're doing is just taking a bunch of ketchup packets. They're going to be all over the place. I do like this one though. I mean, driving this car is a bit strange to actually be able to control, but I do like it. You know, it's one that doesn't feel too bad. And we're going to go get a couple of these boxes. Now, one important thing I actually haven't mentioned about the boxes is they don't respawn for your individual people. Like once you get one of these boxes with Marge, you can't get it again with Marge, but they obviously respawn for a different character. Like when we came back here with Homer, there were these boxes and now they're here again for Marge. So you can't just get infinite coins with them. It would make this game a lot easier if you could, to be honest. But we'll come up through here. There's going to be this jump and then we're going to go over to Mr. Burns' mansion. This thing is just absolutely gigantic. It's so big that you can just fit a car through the entrance. Like, why do you need a house this big? It also has Buzz Cola branding. I do not know why he put it there. I would not want that in my house, I'm not gonna lie. But there's gonna be that bee we can take out there. There's gonna be life-size chests. How do you even move that stuff? And for the final ketchup packet, what we want to do is actually get some more speed. So we'll back up into here, make sure we're over towards the left so our camera isn't in a bad spot, and we have just enough speed to be able to get that ketchup ketchup packet, and we have to drive back to Cletus's house. We'll also take this vending machine, just hitting that. We'll respawn ourselves, get this other vending machine, and okay, that is kind of a weird angle, not exactly what I wanted. But from here, there's going to be this car that is going to be chasing after us, but thankfully this car is terrible at its job. Usually you're able to make it away from this car literally like straight away. All we have to do is go away a little bit, but it's actually keeping some pretty good track of us. But still, it is not too close to us, and as long as I make this jump, now you need a lot of speed in order to make this jump, and sometimes you won't, but that time we did get it, and with that jump we should be more than good to actually complete the task. So now once we make it to the end, back to Cletus's house, he tells us that we should ask old people about the crop circle stuff, and so we decide to go over to the cemetery. But before, of course, we're going to switch over, this time actually to the Malibu Stacy car. Then we can come over here, do a trick by just pausing right there. We talk to this old person, and he tells us that we should go over to the retirement home to talk to Abe. But we do have to beat Chief Wiggums there because he's also trying to get there and would stop us for some reason. And yeah, we also do have the Malibu Stacy car, which means we get some mother-daughter bonding time where they're both just doing very illegal things. But this car is one of the fastest ones we have in our possession, so that's why we want to use it. But we'll make our way over to the retirement home where there's going to be Grandpa Simpson. We ask him for help, but he tells us that he can't help us because he needs his pills. And unfortunately, Nelson actually stole the pills, one of the bullies from the school, so we have to head over there. That means pretty simple path all the way over here. We can make this jump, and Nelson is going to be over by the baseball field. That was a little bit too far of a jump, to be completely honest. But we'll talk to him, and he tells us he actually traded the pills to another one of those black sedans. But before we actually deal with that, what I'm going to want to do is destroy that box, also hit this bee, which is going to be able to give us some more coins. And yet again, we want to go on top of this roof because there's going to be another box and another bee. So I'll take these guys, but I actually started the mission right there, which is a little awkward, I'm not going to lie. So I haven't had that happen to me before, but it's getting a bit far away from us. Really not the best thing to happen. I guess I should have paid a bit more attention, but we should have more than enough speed to actually catch up to it. So it should be fine if this garbage truck just isn't completely in my way. Now the car is going to turn around, so what we have to do is grab these pills first, then turn around with it. And one nice thing is for this mission, if you're actually going too fast of following this car, it can miss one of its drop-offs of the pills, so we're just not gonna have to worry about that at least. I mean, there is a strat to make sure you don't have to deal with that, but we just don't have to think about the strat because we are definitely going a lot slower than this car. But we will be heading through this spot, just going through all these places, and I'm just trying to drive well. I don't want to mess up my driving completely and lose track of the car because that would be a run reset, to be honest with you. But there's going to be these pills. Those were in a very annoying spot. I really needed to pay attention to my map better. But after we get 8, we should be very good. Like, we should be able to get the last few. There's going to be 9 right there. There's also going to be this box, which of course I will take. And there's going to be the last pills that are somewhere over here. They were actually over towards the right, but that's all 10. And now we need to return to the retirement castle. While we're here right by the school, there's going to be that box, which we might as well take. And there's also going to be this box, which we can take as well. And yeah, just more coins. You already know the drill. But then there's going to be another car, which is trying to attack us, and we need to escape. But thankfully, this escape is very easy. All you have to do is take this shortcut over here. So we take this left path, we make this jump, and as soon as we make the jump, we can just reset our car, and the retirement house is right over there. So we'll see Grandpa Simpson. We can hit that, and somehow that thing is floating. You know, don't ask how that works with physics. It just does. Finally, though, we show Grandpa Simpson the pills, but it actually causes him to go to sleep. So we need to get other pills to wake him up. Yeah, gotta love Grandpa Simpson, this guy. But we can just grab those incredibly quickly from the Quickie Mart and go back to Grandpa Simpson where there's another unskippable cutscene. And with this, we figure out that the crop circles have the same logo as the Buzz Cola. So that is going to be our next goal, to pretty much stop that stuff, because that's what's causing everybody in town to go crazy. Now, what I'm going to want to do, I actually kind of messed up for a second, but we actually want to quit game and resume it yet again. That way we can reset our car so we're back to Marge's car. After that, we want to head over to Bart's room, and the faster way to do this is going around back. There's going to be this entrance right up here. We can jump up to that spot, and Bart's going to be sitting there. We talk to him. We can start his mission where we have to go over here and get the police outfit for 400 coins. Then with this, it's time for one of these missions where we have to collect a bunch of stuff on foot. So we'll restart from right there and collect a bunch of these Buzz Colas because we got to make sure that nobody else is drinking them. And while we're doing it, of course, this is a great spot to get a ton of coins. And while we're doing this, I gotta say, I love The Simpsons. I used to watch this all the time with my siblings and my parents. Like, it was such a good time to watch it with them. them. And some of those episodes are absolute classics, like the monorail episode. I love that episode. And so many more. I mean, I don't know how modern Simpsons is, to be honest. I haven't really been watching it. Also, that was the worst launch ever. We also got a second bad one. Okay, third time is the try. That's a better launch. But yeah, playing through this game is all sorts of nostalgic because Simpsons was a great part of my childhood, just being able to spend watching it with my family. And yeah, that's what speedrunning allows you to do. You know, replay parts of your childhood. That's one of the reasons why I love it so much. But anyways, we'll continue on our way. Right now, we got 19 out of 20, and there's just so many coins that we can get on this path, which is very nice because we need a lot for our next part. We'll also, of course, take Mr. Plow's jacket. In the liquid Wi-Fi tutorial, he said you gotta take it. Don't ask why. Also, I accidentally jumped out there. All right, that was a little awkward. We'll come back up here. Not the fastest thing in the world, but we'll still take it. And the final 5 are just gonna be a straight path. We come over here, over towards that building. There's gonna be this one with the fire truck and just a few more of these. And finally, we'll get this last one. That is gonna be mission complete. And now we have to head back to the Quickie Mart because we're gonna tell Apu that he's been selling tainted soda. And we decide that we need to destroy a bunch of the trucks delivering it. And this is another mission where we have to do a lot of damage to things. And these trucks have a ton of health. So one thing you can do right here is actually get it stuck by the retirement home sign. But we didn't get that there because there was a truck right there. So that's kind of unlucky. But we can try to do another thing where we want to hit this over into the bushes. Not the best, but that kind of works. I mean, that was pretty good. But yeah, just kind of a normal way of doing this where we want to hit these cars into different things because that's going to do a ton of damage. And we can also hit them straight on and emergency brake right before it. And that will also do a good amount of damage. We should be able to destroy this thing. That did a good amount and not the cleanest thing in the world, but we destroy it right there. Next, we want to drive over to Mr. Burns' mansion. So pretty normal drive there. And our next one is going to be as soon as we come over towards this left area. We can hit it once head on just to do extra damage, and that was not what was supposed to happen. But you know what? I'm gonna take advantage of it. I have never had the car go in that spot before, but I'm not gonna complain. And okay, not in the best spot right there, but we do have a great place we can finish it off. So I will be coming down here. There's also gonna be this box right there. We might as well take it. We can follow the truck all the way down this area over towards the big chessboard. These things are all in my way, but it's gonna hit its head on that thing and we can just crash right into it, destroying it. So yeah, that was not the strat we were trying to do at all, but I'll take it. And finally, our very last truck is going to be up here. And this strat, some people do not find this one hard at all. I find it pretty hard for some reason. Like, I'm just not good at it. What you want to do is slam into the back of it and get it stuck on that tree. Obviously, I did not do that. So that means we just got to go with the normal way of just trying to hit it multiple times and hopefully destroy it fast. Also, not get destroyed by all these cars which are in my way. I keep getting good spots where I can boost into it. And then there's a car just directly in the way, like they don't want me destroying a bunch of cola trucks. I'm gonna be honest, this is a very bad amount of damage to have at this point. I normally would love to have a lot more. We'll also reset the car right there so we don't have to awkwardly get out of there. So yeah, not my best one of these missions, but I can slam into it there. It's hitting a couple things. It's now about at half health. I just want to aim up another one of these, get it into that tree. That does a ton of damage on it. And we can go follow it again, get it into that spot, hit it head on, and it just needs a single more hit. So I'll try to make sure I'm in front of it. That's going to do the damage we need. And now we have to drive to the Simpsons house. But I do want to get a little bit of extra coins, especially because we did get busted a bit earlier. So there's going to be that machine over there. There's going to be this one. And actually, I might as well also take this box. So I'll take that as well. We're very close to a hit and run, but we're right before it. So I'm going to make sure I don't hit any trees, or at least not too many. And it doesn't really matter because either way, Chief Wiggums is going to start going after us once we get close to the Simpsons house. But a very funny way of getting away from him is just going in front of your house, jumping out of here, and we can go inside the house. He can't get in there, and we just win the mission, which is very funny. Now we're on to Apu, and his car is also really good. It starts out very fast, so I enjoy this car. But right away, we're going to have to drive all the way over to buy Moe's. And while we're going over there, we might as well pick up a couple vending machines because we need a lot of coins for the next couple of missions. Obviously, this this is going to be the same map that we had when we were doing all the BART missions, and that means there are going to be those 2 vending machines right there, nice and convenient ones. We'll go past City Hall and Krusty Burger. We can make this jump where I do want to slow down a little bit and just barely be able to get on here. That way we can grab that guy, which is also a nice convenient spot. And then before we get onto the mission, we're going to stop by Moe's. And that's because this is where you can buy clothes. And what we want to buy here is American Apu. That is a pretty cool outfit. You gotta love his big hat he has on his head. And then from there, we'll head through the car wash over into this shortcut area where is going to be our next mission. Because Apu wants to investigate the cola trucks and figure out the source of the evil beverage. And right here, there is going to be a convenient truck right there. So we're going to have to follow it and pick up all the crates it drops, which is going to be 11 this time. And that means some pretty simple driving. Obviously, we've been on this map before. And I mean, I've been on it a lot as I've been learning this speedrun. Also, this truck just got right in the way, just killed an ambulance driver. We don't have to talk about that. But I actually will take this shortcut. A new shortcut for us. I don't think we took this in the BART area. And yeah, we're just kind of going through. There's going to be that crate there. That's going to be number 3. We have this turn with the detour. All the Krusty flags. I have not noticed those before on the light posts. Like, those are interesting. There's a lot of Krusty. Then we'll turn over to the right. That was a very awkward spot for that to be. Kind of have to go out of my way, but that's just what happens with these types of missions. And this one is also going to be in a little bit of an awkward spot, but this is why we don't want to be too close to it. There's going to be number 7 while we're on this highway area. Or is that really a highway? I guess it's more of a tunnel. I don't know why I've been calling it a highway. Now back over in this area, that's going to be number 8. That's going to be number 9, which spawns right away. We can go by Krusty Burger, and this is sometimes a really weird turn where there's a bunch of cars. They just destroyed so many of them, so we didn't even have to worry about it. But I don't want to slow down at all. I don't want to lose my speed on this, especially over these last few crates where we can gain some time. And our final crate should be dropping about right now. And before we talk to them, we do have to destroy this crate because that's going to give us some more money. In here, we talk to the mobsters and ask if they have anything to do with the sodas, but they say we shouldn't stick our nose in other people's business. And then we realize we have to go pick up our kids from the doctor's office. But while we're going over there, the other mobsters are going to be coming after us. And that means we have to be able to escape from them. So this dude is just going to keep chasing. We did have to reset right there because he got us in a very bad bind. I'm not even going to lie. And this is actually really good chasing that they're doing right now. Usually it is not this good. So hopefully we'll be able to lose them right here, but I don't think we will. So we will do a slightly different path than we normally would. If I keep going this way, we should be able to get enough speed to just be able to stop it. Okay, that was way too close. It would have been very annoying if we didn't escape right there because we would have had to go through the tunnel and it would have taken so much longer. Now we'll be going over here, over towards this fountain. That spawns in the next car and we can get away from this mobster right away because all we have to do is turn around and go over towards the town hall where there's going to be one of these boxes. There's also going to be the bee. I might as well get a bit extra coins because we do need 500 here and that's going to be exactly what we need. And that's because for this next mission, we need a big car because in this mission, Dr. Hibbert says that we need to get diapers for our kids. So we decide to steal them from somebody. And for that, we need the car built for Homer. After that, we'll go into our mission select. We'll go over there because it's just slightly faster. And Dr. Hibbert tells us all those things. And now it is time for 8 is too much. This is a very interesting mission because it can go well or it can also go terribly. Like right now, that is not the best. What we wanted to do is get this car stuck in something, but I am not the best at it, so I don't really try for it too much. I usually just try to play my best. There are a lot of really hard strats in this game that some I'm better at and some I am much worse at. Anyways, for this one, all we have to do is keep getting these diapers. This car is pretty weak, so you don't have to get that much speed on it in order to get it to drop a diaper, but I tried to back up into it there, and that awkwardly missed. But just a few more hits, we'll try to get it stuck into there. That isn't going to work, but we can hit it one more time. That should give us the last diaper, and all things considered, not too slow. Then from there, all we have to do is head back over into the hospital, and we can give the diapers for our babies. After that, we'll also get this vending machine. That's just some more money before we mission warp to our next thing. And we also get to keep the car built for Homer, which is a very good car. It's nice and fast and also pretty strong. But we got the Krusty mission, and Krusty tells us that we might get information about the cola if we follow a cop, and we need the American outfit on. And to follow the cops, we're gonna follow this trail of donuts. We're also gonna take those boxes because they are in the way. But yeah, you just follow the trail of donuts that they left. They left 21 donuts on the ground. That is kind of insane. But we're going through this tunnel, trying not to get hit by cars, and this is kind of an interesting going back and forth pattern we have to do for these guys. But we will pick up a ton of donuts right there. There's gonna be one more here along with this vending machine. I'll try to get that, not hit the dumpster. And then once we make it to the end, we actually have to follow the cop car. And all I'm gonna do for that, for this first moment, is just sit here. Yeah, kind of hilariously, you don't have to do anything else. You just sit here. And that's because Chief Wiggum goes in a circle. He does not know where he's driving. Eventually, he comes back and we can start following him again. Also get that vending machine. And we're going on the highway. And from here, it's a pretty easy following mission. And finally, we'll make it over here. The cop car will crash. That was kind of embarrassing. But we can head over to the DMV. And as soon as we make it over here, Snake is going to spawn and we can do our next mission. Because we want a folder that talks about the cola. And Snake says he has a connection with the DMV, but we need to pick up litter for his community service. And that means we're following this garbage truck and just picking up all the trash that's going to come out of it. It's very strange how this guy, first of all, does not care about ambulances. Nobody cares about ambulances in this game. But also, why are you dropping so much trash? I feel like that should not be happening, but I guess maybe it's just a hard job. Also, dude, please be a better driver. And drops that garbage in the worst spot. Okay, this is very bad, but thankfully I should have more than enough time to catch up, probably. I mean, I guess this one isn't one where you have to stay close to the car at all times, because you see in the top left, we don't have a bar that makes us stay close to the car, otherwise we'll fail the mission. But I do want to stay close, that way we can keep it going as fast as possible. But there are so many cars just in its way, and he does not care at all. I wonder how many people have died during this speedrun in Springfield. Probably quite a few, I'm not gonna lie. But we'll pick up that one. And now we also have to pick up 25 other pieces of trash that are throughout the city. So first of all, we'll head up here, up these stairs, and there's gonna be a few pieces of trash. There's gonna be one all the way up here, and then we're gonna want to do a couple of jumps. This jump isn't too precise, but I'm always very worried about missing it. We'll also take out this B because that's gonna be some extra coins. Do this jump onto this roof where there's some more trash, and since we're in this area, it's kind of a might as well pick up all these extra coins. There's gonna be this box right here, also that B, and we still need a lot more coins to finish out this run, so extra coins is always going to be nice, especially when they're not too out of the way. But we'll take that next B secondly, and then head over into this direction where here's the last piece of trash on this roof along with that box. From there, we go back over to the car, and we're going to be heading to the left. There's going to be this big thing in the middle, and there's a lot of trash all around it, but for now we're only actually going to take 2 pieces of that trash and then come into this alleyway where there's going to be a couple more things, and we got to get out of the car again. From there, just running, jumping on these things, you know, we get some nice super jumps. And there's going to be 4 more pieces of trash along with another B. If it's in a good area, I might take it out, but I do not want to waste any time, especially because we've been a bit slower than usual, and I just want to make sure we have plenty of time. So we'll go in this alleyway. There's 2 more right there. There's a very annoying car that gets in my way. Not my fault for bad driving, you know, I always have the right of way. They never do. But we'll come down here after going up the fire truck. Then there's going to be these 2 more. We can head left, and then we just have to go back over towards the center where we're going to do this jump, reset our car, and be more towards the left, and that's going to allow us to pick up those final pieces of trash, and all we have to do is drive back to the DMV. Now, when playing this game casually, this is a pretty tight timer, honestly, but all we have to do to make sure we make it is take this shortcut through that road you're not supposed to go on, and there's going to be a jump, and yeah, we get through the highway much faster. Now, before we get to the DMV, I might as well also take that extra box, and then we'll stop by Snake, who tells us to go inside, and we get a folder, but we realize that folder's empty. So we're going right back to Snake. With this mission, Snake tells us that he does have the information we want, but in order to get that info, we need to destroy an armored car. So yeah, this man is just making us do more and more missions. Very annoying. Now, before anything else, we are going to try to get captured by the police, but there's a very easy way of getting away from them. All you have to do is hold on to this left wall, and sometimes there's weird collision there, which tries to stop us, but we still make it through. And then we come over to the armored car. We want to flick our camera backwards. That way there's no traffic, and we want to very carefully get this armored car into this alley so it gets stuck, and it's just going to keep beating its head into the wall over and over again. So you can see we actually got the angle, and this is a very annoying part of the run. It's very easy to not get that right, and this is so late in the run that if you don't get it right, you either just have to reset the mission, or it's probably just a reset of the whole run, especially because the armored cars have so much health, and Snake's car is not very good. It doesn't do much damage, so there's not too many other good ways to take take out its health, and it just takes so long if you don't do this strategy. But we want to wait right before the end of this tunnel, and that's because if we go much farther, the area is going to despawn and the armored car is able to get away, but as soon as it gets destroyed, we can make it back over to Snake's hideout. And what we want to do for this is there is going to be the police again, so we come over here and respawn ourselves. That way we're looking in the right direction, and we can escape Chief Wiggum right away just by going over here by the train tracks, and yeah, easiest escape in the game. So we finally actually get back to the hideout, and Snake tells us that the Buzz Cola is registered to the museum, so we have to head over there with Bart. And this is a pretty simple mission where all we have to do is go over to the museum, at least at the start. And then once we come over here, there's going to be the curator's car so we can get the museum key. And this is one of the most annoying destroying missions in the game, because what I want to do is get this guy stuck into that alleyway by the yellow building, but I very much messed it up there. Yeah, not my best attempt in the world. And since we didn't get it there, we are just going to have to try to destroy it the normal way. Now, thankfully, this isn't an armored truck, so it's not that bad to destroy the normal way. And I don't worry about if I mess this up too bad. We just have to keep slamming into it, of course, doing the emergency brake strat, and it just needs a single more piece of damage. So I will come over here, boom, that's going to get it destroyed, and it's going to drop the red key so we can take that over to the museum. And as we get to the museum, what we're going to want to do as soon as we see mission complete is we want to alt tab. That's going to pause the game and allow us to pause during this scene. Then we're going to want to do our normal strategy where we skip the cutscene. So I like pause buffering this just to make sure we're able to get it and we can get to the next mission. But basically what happens during that cutscene is we find out that aliens have been filming an intergalactic reality show in Springfield and are introducing the cola to make us go crazy for good ratings, and they're going to give us laser guns so we can take each other out. And so we're trying to stop that, but Apu is scared of the aliens, so he's not going to help anymore, which means it's up to Bart. Bart decides that he needs to warn Krusty, especially because he has been promoting this cola all over the place. And we ask Otto to take us there, but he says he needs to pick up a bunch of kids and take them to Krusty Land, but I mean, that's also where we need to go. There's going to be this kid right there. We got to get that truck out of the way. When will these cars learn just not to be in my way? And somehow this kid is on this jump by the fire. Like, what are you doing, kid? Very strange. And we just barely are also able to make that jump. And we got to go on the docks. Now here, I try my best not to hit too many people if I can be careful about it. But sometimes on these docks, there's just so many people. You're definitely not supposed to drive here. But I mean, it is what it is. Get our 15th person right there and just go over to Krusty Lou Studios. I guess I keep calling it Krusty Land when it's Krusty Lou Studios, my bad. But this is a pretty simple drive over. There will be some cars here, but I kind of just ram my way through and we're probably good. Then right away, I want to jump to make sure we don't do the celebration, and we got to get some more coins. So there's actually a really good coin farm we can do here where we hit this vending machine only twice. Then we go into these studios and there's going to be all these boxes and some more vending machines. And as long as you only hit them twice and not 3 times, they won't get destroyed, which means we're going to be able to reuse them. So since I'm a little bit low on coins, this is the best coin farm you can do. You can see we do it once, then we do a mission warp over to the second mission, and we can just do this a second time because we need to get up to 600 coins. And I accidentally just destroyed one of the boxes there. Not the biggest deal, but we will have to come back here later and do some more coin grinding, so might lose just a little bit of time. Still, we got our 600 coins. And now we want to head over here and we want to buy a new car. This is going to be the Globex Supervillain car, which is an insanely good car, and we also do need it for a later mission. So now we'll go to Barney, ask him where Krusty is, but Barney says that Krusty is doing a promo for Buzz Cola, so we need to get there before this truck does. And first of all, we're going to follow this truck that came out of the building to see where it is going to be going. And by follow, I mean just get in front of it because it's kind of slow. Again, with these following missions, especially when you're in front of them, you don't want to go too fast because if you go too fast, bad things will definitely happen. But what we can do is now head over into this right area because we have to wait anyways. We might as well pick up that guy. And you see we got task complete, and we're going to pick up this guy, which we have to race over to Krusty. Now, this isn't too bad of a race. This guy is kind of ahead of me right away, which isn't the best, but I will hopefully get ahead of him there. Yeah, he crashes into a car. Kind of sucks at the game. And you can just see how amazing this car is as I'm causing a lot of property damage to all these other cars. That's not on purpose, but I mean, it happens. And yeah, from here, pretty simple driving, all the same shortcuts that we usually take. And we'll make it over to Krusty before the other people. And we're going to try to warn him about the cola, but he won't believe us, so we need to find some evidence. And we decide that we should ask Professor Frank to help us find evidence. But before we do that, we got to follow his car, which this is a very interesting chase mission because this guy does some very interesting driving. First of all, we're just going to wait here in this parking lot because he's going to go in a circle. We can see him on the mini map, and as soon as he makes that turn, I might as well get another vending machine, which is just going to be right here. We can just knock ourselves ourselves into that and continue chasing him, which, yeah, pretty normal driving. He does have a cool car, though. Then we'll make it over here, over into the arcade area, and we'll pick up another vending machine. And then, instead of going straight over to the observatory, Professor Frink goes back down. Yeah, this man is driving in the most incomprehensible ways. And again, we can wait for him right in this parking lot by the theater because he's gonna go in a circle. But okay, after all that waiting, now it's time to go over towards the observatory. And you already know the path at this point. Pretty much all we're gonna do is take this jump over, and yeah, that's that mission. Now we want to wait a second until the observatory is ready, that way we can actually get the Professor Frink mission. And we tell him about the aliens, and he tells us that the aliens are hiding lasers in the Duff trucks, so we're gonna want to get a laser and show it to Krusty. And first of all, we have to get over to the Duff building, and with this car, it's not too bad, but we can't make too many mistakes. Like if you crash into too many things, it wouldn't be good. But from here, pretty simple driving overall. It's just all these cars and those guys who sometimes turn lanes. Like, use your turn signal, man. I mean, to be fair, I guess I'm not using my turn signal, and I am much more of a dangerous driver than them. But you know, I'm a player. I can do that. Anyways, we'll make it over here, and here is gonna be the Duff truck. And now there is a strategy to get this stuck right by the taffy shop, but I am not very good at the strategy. Sometimes I can get it, usually I don't. But instead, I'm going for a secondary strategy where I'm gonna try to get it stuck against this building. Now, that isn't exactly what I wanted to do, but we should be able to get at least a couple of these lasers. Like, that's 3 right there, or 4, so that's pretty good. Definitely could have been a bit better, but we shouldn't have to follow this guy for too much longer. But there is that light post, which doesn't allow me to get a hit right there. I can come through that shortcut, though, hit it head on. That's going to be our 5th box, and our last one should be right there. That's going to be 6, and yeah, very adequate mission. Definitely could have done it better, but also definitely could have done it worse. I've had very bad versions of this one. And hey, at least we can use this shortcut again, where we go over to the left. There's going to be this ship. We're going to jump right into it. As soon as we hit the ground, we can reset, and that gets us over here faster. And we're going to want to go over to the Duff building, and as soon as we do that, we want to find a laser gun, which is going to be in this tunnel. We want to hit that B if we can, but a lot of times you're not going to be able to. But there's a convenient laser right here, so we take it for proof. But for some reason, before we show Krusty the laser, we decide to show Principal Skinner, and we tell him about the aliens. He tells us that we're not allowed to have a laser, and he confiscates it from us. So that means we're gonna have to destroy him. What I'm gonna do right there is charge up a hit, but that was kind of bad. All right, we don't have to talk about it. So one thing you can do is you can get him stuck in Krusty Lou Studios, but there was that car there, and that was a very annoying spot for it to be, so we just gotta destroy it normally. And that means you already know the drill, just hitting it multiple times, trying to hit it into multiple things. And yeah, this destroying section can either go well or badly. We don't have that much damage yet, but hopefully I can get some more. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting process. Ideally, we want to get him into these walls, not just hit the back of his car like that. And I also don't want to hit these other cars, because the things about these destroying missions is when the car hits a different car, that actually won't do any damage to it for some reason. It's only our car or walls, so that is very annoying sometimes. And I'm not gonna lie, this mission could definitely be going a bit better. I could definitely be playing it a bit better, but try to get him stuck over there. Please hit the wall multiple times. Why are you such a good driver? Okay, we'll hit him into the observatory. Hit him there. That was pretty good. Try to get him into the observatory one more time. He's almost dead. Please, man. All right, I'm just trying to go fast. You know, this is the type of amazing gameplay you get when you're watching Easy Speezy instead of a world record holder or a better speedrunner. You know, it's great. Anyways, we can then mission warp over to Krusty, but before we talk to him, we want to get some more coins. So we're going to do this whole thing yet again. And we want to get up to around 500 coins, so we'll be at this for a little bit. We also get a hit and run while we're doing this thing, but that also doesn't really matter because we're in this spot in Krusty Lou Studios, so the cops aren't going to be able to get us here. I'm not even worried about them. And finally, after we get a bunch of coins, we can actually destroy this stuff and get all the coins from them. So we're just going to do some ground pounds onto them and slowly destroy some more, which that is actually going to get us up to 500, so we won't need any more coins for the rest of the run. Now we can talk to Krusty. He finally believes us, but he tells us that he just set up a bunch of free laser gun stands, so we need to take those out. You know, it's a mistake that anyone could make. Someone tells you, hey, put up these free laser gun stands, and I mean, you're not gonna do it. They're paying you money, right? Anyways, this is a pretty simple mission, like most of these collecting missions. We're just going along and trying not to hit too many people because we definitely don't want to hit and run here, but we'll deal with the entire portion of the docks first. Then we'll go around in this circle, around that firing wheel place, go up here by the log thing, and then the last one is going to be over by this gas station. And yeah, from here, we just take our normal shortcuts back to Krusty Lou Studios. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention, the reason we needed the supervillain car was for this mission. This is the car you need in order order to do it. I mean, it's also just very fast in general, so it's a good car to have either way. Finally, though, we make it over to Krusty, and yeah, we're good to go for that. But now we need to talk to Homer about the aliens' plan. We tell them about how they're trying to murder everybody, and he decides to help us, so we gotta race this car over to the Duff Factory. So actually, what we're gonna do for this race is go the opposite direction that you're normally supposed to. Like, we are nowhere near the other car right now, and that's because we're just going the observatory direction. But an important thing about this one is you have to be very fast. If you mess up the driving here and you go a little bit too slow, then you're actually gonna lose the race right away. And please get out of my, oh my gosh. Okay, that is very bad. We might actually lose this race, so yeah. I mean, kind of a quick reset, so still gonna continue the run, but that was so dumb. Okay, this time we're making it over to the tunnel in a much faster way, and you'll see we get back to first, so we won't actually die this time. But yeah, this run just has so many hard tricks, and it's a pretty long run, so it's inevitable there will be some bad things that happen. I mean, for me, I'm a lot worse at the game than other people, so there's more stuff. But now what we want to do is another cutscene skip to go on to the last level. And what happens during that cutscene is the aliens say that the lasers were only the beginning, and they're going to be putting cola in the water supplies to make zombies. So this Homer section starts out with Lisa telling us that zombies are on the way, and we need to go get supplies around town. We start out by getting a first aid kit from Flanders, and then now this cemetery area is going to be opened up so we can make that skip. But next up, we're going to need to get some boards to board up our house, so we steal those from Cletus. We go over to Mo, and we tell him we need his chainsaw, and that's going to be number 3, so all we have to do is drive back to the Simpsons house. And we can take this same jump right back here, which this jump is so convenient to have. I wish you had it in the earlier missions, but I guess it makes sense why they wouldn't open it up till now. But we make it back home, we get our mission celebration, and then we actually want to turn around and go back over towards the cemetery. And that's because from this zombie guy, we're going to want to buy a zombie car. See, at this point, we're going over to the school and talking to comic book guy, and he tells us that aliens are sucking people up into their ship. So we need to follow a black car because it's working with the aliens, and we need this zombie car to protect us from the zombie stuff. Yeah, there's a whole lot of reasoning in these cutscenes. It kind of makes sense. Anyways, we have to race this car over to the power plant. Well, actually, we don't have to race it. We're supposed to follow it, but obviously we're going to start it out with just being ahead of it, especially for this car, because if you make too many mistakes, this car goes by incredibly fast. So it's good to be ahead of it. That way we can crash into things and not have too much of a problem with that. But like right here, I'm going to take this jump. The other car doesn't take the jump. So we have more than enough time to make it over here. I'm just making sure we don't go too fast. We will let the car get ahead of us at this point though. And we got the cemetery jump. There's going to be that guy who just sold us the car. You know, unlucky for you. We thankfully make it right through there. We're very close to a hit and run though, and I do not want that to happen. But final little moments of this part, we're going through this shortcut, destroying that tree so close to a hit and run. You always have to be careful about that because hit and runs, I mean, I guess it wouldn't matter for the coins at this point, but we just don't want the police chasing after us. But we'll make it over to the power plant, finish that mission, and now we can talk to Professor Frink. And he's going to tell us that the alien's weakness is nuclear waste, so we need to bring some nuclear waste from the power plant over to the alien ship. And we have a very cool trick to do this. What we're going to do here is come up to the side of this wall, and we're going to line ourselves up right there. We're going to speed up, and then we want to slam into the wall. That's going to cause the back end of our car to go up. We can move over to the left, and we can use that cage collision to actually be able to go up there and go out of bounds. So from here, now that we're out of bounds, all we can rely on is the blue way marker that's on the map. We can see that it's just directly above us. Then once we see the ship, I want to go a little bit to the left, looking at the mini map to make sure we're on the road, because there's actually still collision even though we are out of bounds. So if you're not careful there, you will hit a wall, and if you hit a wall while you have the nuclear waste, it gets destroyed and we would need to go back. So we want to stay out of bounds at this point, that way we can have it for the next mission, but we also want our car back. So we're going to talk to this guy and start a race, only to cancel it right away, just so we get our car. Then from there, we need to talk to Lisa, so I'm just going to stop right here, right by the school, and excuse me, okay, yeah, maybe we need to move our car slightly forward, but we will get into the school. And then we tell Lisa that we need some more nuclear waste, and she tells us that Mr. Burns should have plenty, so we should go talk to him. And thankfully, we can continue to use this out of bounds trick even into here, even though we went into the school. So I want to go out the same way I came in, and yeah, we'll just be driving over to the nuclear power plant. Now eventually, once we make it over here and hit a wall, we can actually reset our car. That's going to put us right in front of the nuclear power plant, and yeah, it just saves so much time. But we got to climb up to Mr. Burns' office, that way we can ask him for his help. So this climbing section is kind of annoying. It's very easy to mess it up. We have to do a ton of double jumps just up here. That's part 1. Then we walk through some places. There's a ton of extra coins here. It would have been very nice to have them earlier when we actually needed needed coins, but we don't need them anymore. So now these jumps are kind of precise as well, just making sure you don't fall off until we make it over to the top. Then in this section, there's going to be a bunch of trap doors, so we want to go right, left, and then back to the right to make sure those don't affect us. And okay, that could have been very bad. We don't have to talk about it, but Mr. Burns agrees to help us, and we got to go back into our vehicle. So we're just going to head down here, and we can go back into our parked car and take all the nuclear waste that we want. And then from there, all we got to do is drive back to the playground. So pretty simple stuff, but we won't be going out of bounds this time. Instead, we just kind of got to drive and do our thing, but you have to be very careful. Like I said earlier, if you hit any walls with too much force, then the nuclear waste will get destroyed. You can hit cars, at least it seems like, but yeah, I'm just very careful that I don't go too fast and I don't hit any cars. Also, it is not fun to not have your car be fixed. Okay, there's a lot of cars all over the place. So I will take this fix just to make sure we're fine. And I also want to take this shortcut very carefully. If it looks like we're going to hit a wall, then you can actually reset your car before that happens, just to make sure you're fine. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty simple way back over to the school playground. We can also take this shortcut right through there. That's going to speed it up a bit, but yeah, normal stuff. So we'll go back over to the UFO, get rid of this car along with that nuclear waste. But the thing is, now we have lost our car, which isn't very good. So we threaten Snake and tell him that, hey, we need your car. And now we're driving with him. And this is another cool mission where we're going to be able to go out of bounds, at least if I do it right. I had one mission before this where I was going so fast and I messed up the trick we have to do 3 times. So yeah, we'll hope that doesn't happen, but gotta love difficult tricks right at the end of a run, especially because this trick, it isn't an easy reset. You do have to go a pretty good amount of space before you get over there, but there is going to be this alien car that's coming after us. And for this guy, it's usually pretty easy to escape, but sometimes they will have good driving. But as long as we do that shortcut and they don't have good driving, we can make it away nice and easy. We go through this cemetery jump, and I also want to make sure I don't damage this car as much as possible, because if we fail this trick a couple of times, our car will get destroyed. So we want it to have as much health as we can. And what we do is we line ourselves up right there, and then I'm going to hold accelerate, decelerate, and emergency brake. You want to hold those for a while, and then you want to release decelerate first, then emergency brake a little bit after that. And if you do it right, you're actually going to be able to go through this wall. So this is a pretty hard thing to do. I want to make sure there are no cars in my way, and please give me third try. Thankfully, we got it there. Now we just want to move a little bit over to the left, and we can use our camera to look up. As soon as we get past that parking lot, I usually reset right there. We can back up just to make sure we're the right height, and we can take some more nuclear waste. So we're out of bounds again, and that means we just do the same trick that we did before, where we're following the way marker on our map. Again, once we see the ship, we want to move a bit to the right, look on the mini map to make sure we're going on the road. That way we don't hit any walls. And it's also important not to hit Grandpa Simpson, because he'll get higher up and then you actually can't talk to him, which means you would have to get out of bounds. But thankfully, we are on the right height now. We can talk to him, use his car, which is a pretty cool car. But before we start going over to the power plant, we do have to start a tiny race with the alien car. That way it actually spawns the nuclear waste. So we will start that race, and then we go the same path that we usually do. Yeah, there's no way the alien car is going to be able to beat us, especially with this car. This thing is insane. So you already know the drill. We're going to come over to this wall, then we can reset, and we're at the nuclear power plant. We do want to make sure we actually finish the race though, and then we can take this nuclear waste, and this is the very last mission we have to do. So we just want to make it back to the school pretty fast, and also make sure we don't lose the nuclear waste at any point. But you already saw this whole path, so we'll skip ahead. But once we do make it over here, there will be the alien car one more time, which is trying to come past us. I'll make sure we don't run into it, and this is a pretty easy car to escape with our shortcuts. Like, we already escaped the thing, so we're just going to the playground. And with this, we have plenty of time to make it over into this area. So all we have to do is drive our vehicle into the tractor beam. There goes Grandpa Simpson, unlucky for him. But we are going to defeat the aliens, and we'll end time as soon as we see the ending cutscene, and we got a 1:51:56. So that means we officially beat the aliens, and Homer gets a ton of alien fans, which is pretty cool. He deserves it. But that's going to be 250th place on the speedrun leaderboards. And yeah, this speedrun was awesome. Definitely recommend. All right, subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye.